And so we know Big Tobacco did what? Part of their business model was specifically and explicitly targeting young people with a product that they knew was harmful to children because they put profit over our kids. I would argue now that that is what is happening in so many areas of big tech.
Imagine for a moment if across the street there was a space, a warehouse, a building where they had stalls and children were there, or images of children were there, and pedophiles showed up at that building looking for children. We wouldn't be having a conversation about whether or not I should file a lawsuit. We would be having a conversation about why the police are not in that building, putting people in handcuffs. Why do we treat technology companies differently? What would we ask or demand of somebody who owns a building that they know that that's going on in that space? Would you accept an argument from them that they have some First Amendment right to engage in that activity? I don't think so. And that's what we're ultimately fighting for.
How often have you received a request from someone you don't know online who is asking you for a nude picture? And 1 in 7 kids said that they had received a message like that daily or weekly, with 40% saying that they'd ever received a message.
On how do we build safe spaces that are both private and safe for kids? We've weighed these off as almost absolutes, like we can't find a happy middle. And the way we're going to get to a place where we can have conversations about things like protecting privacy without automatically saying, well, I don't have to do anything for kids, is by thinking about solving those problems in a more expansive way.
I don't think we can keep this technology, all of it, away from our kids. I think that what will happen is our whole community will be pushed out of the culture, which is going to move like lightning with AI for the next industrial revolution. We have to own that revolution and say that it can actually lead us to a better place, because the companies that are building the next generation of tools have to live up to these standards, not these standards. And we have a chance. So the beautiful thing in technology is every 20 years there's big turnover. And we're about to start that journey again. And I think there's an opportunity to influence that, to be part of that, and to be in our culture holding up and saying, if you're not that, we aren't buying from you, and we aren't buying for people advertising on you.
There is this quote that says by Lin Yutang. He says, hope is like a road in the country. There was never a road, but the more people walk on it, the road comes into existence. And I think that's why we are here today, is never before have we really actually walked the road of sexual exploitation, anti-sexual exploitation, emerging technology, and AI. This truly is an inflection point. So we are so deeply appreciative of everybody that's willing to carve out that road of hope to a world that's more dignified and more inclined to flourish. Thank you.
We should also never forget that this is not a partisan issue. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, there are no real clear lines when you're dealing with these issues. Got as many friends on the right as I have on the left, and a lot of people in the middle.
And so my hope, in addition to trying to win in court, is to try to use this action as a way to educate and energize people in DC to come together, put aside their differences. Jason's a Republican, I'm a Democrat. There's lots of things we don't agree on. We just don't talk about those things. But there are certain things that cut through, that cut across all of that. And the protection of children is one of them.
And he looked at me, he's like, well, what is under there? And I was like, oh, well, you don't want to go under there. And he's like, well, why not? And I was like, well, there's some belts, there's some shoes, and then there's like a magazine with naked people in it. And as soon as I said that, I mean, he like dove under the boulder and he pulled out this magazine, and it was a magazine full of porn. And he just sat there and like he stared at it. And then he brought it back to our current hiding place, and he just, I mean, like He protected it, he was consumed by it, and as soon as he was done looking at it, he would turn around and he would rape me. And every time he looked at it, when he'd turn around and rape me, it would make what I went through even worse.
Kids that had been viewing pornography were more likely to report that they had acted out on another child. So from what I can see in the research, pornography is a greater, like, it fuels more child-on-child harmful sexual behavior than even a hands-on perpetrator.
The council asks me to prepare 2 thematic reports. One I present to the Human Rights Council, and the other one I present to the General Assembly. I can do them on any issue I would like, and I have deliberately chosen to do this year's report to the Human Rights Council on the issue of prostitution, because I know that so far there had not been any comprehensive human rights-centered analysis of prostitution, of models, of policies on prostitution, and I felt really that this was the issue that was missing so far globally. And in fact, what women and girls experience in prostitution is a violation of these fundamental rights. They are raped, gang raped, kidnapped, abducted, forcefully disappeared, killed, urinated on, ejaculated on, rendered disabled, beaten, enslaved, trafficked, threatened with death, forced into unprotected sex, imprisoned. They undergo coerced sterilization and abortion. These are just a few examples of what women and girls in prostitution have to endure.
If you, to add to your myths, the problem with the myths, is if you fully decriminalize or legalize, what that does is it actually dries up funding for people who we would call survivors or victims. Because if you say it's work just like any other, it's a job just like any other, then why would you need, do people who work at fast food places when they, that's exploitative, or factories, do they get exit and care? No, this is just, that funding stream is very difficult if you normalize it.
I had really a life-changing moment when I joined Dr. Melissa Farley in Germany, and I had the opportunity to interview sex buyers there. Oh. But one of the moments was we sat meeting with a German sex buyer who proceeded to tell us about the most horrific abuse that he had inflicted on some women. And then one of the last questions we asked him was something like, if prostitution was no longer legal here in your country, what would change for you? And we were sitting in a cafe, and he looked at this, pointed to this young woman who was sitting behind me, who just was like doing homework or something. And he said, it would mean I couldn't walk right up to her and ask her to have sex with me tonight. And then after we were finished, he walked right up to her. Goodness. And I realized, like, that's what legalization does. There's no way to make prostitution safe.
That's my picture, one of my graduation pictures. And I have over 24 years of international experience. I was trafficked for 4 countries, master's degree in overcoming trauma and re-victimization in life. And my goal is to stop human trafficking. So I know some experts graduated from human trafficking, like lifetime experience, and I don't want to be a survivor. I'm an expert, okay? Simple steps to act. Thank you.